Good day, everyone. So this is Joan Anolua Aibusi. I'm the founder of Lifesaver Intervention Initiative, and this is our leading for a change class. So very quickly, we'll be going into what we have for today. So I'd like to talk to us about a concept called propane glycol. Propane glycol is a content that is added to creams. And what is the function of propane glycol? What purpose does it serve in cream contents? Propane glycol is the content that helps our skin to assimilate and absorb the contents of a cream. In other words, any cream without propane glycol or an alternative will not be maximized. It means most of the things you're rubbing on your body will end up on your clothes or whatever surface you rest your bodies on. So I do not buy any cream without propane glycol because I definitely want to maximize my money. So in this class and in everything that we're going to be doing, we are going to be carrying out personal exercises. There are things you're going to be writing to your own self. Nobody is going to ask you for the answers you're going to be writing. And those exercises are our own propane glycol for this leading for a change course. So it's important that you participate in everything that we are doing so that you can make the most of all that we are set to do. And I am not just organizing this just for organizing sake. I really want to see people with a difference emerge. I want to see leaders who want to lead for a change emerge. So the the more we make the most of this, the better it is for us. So very quickly, we're going to start and we're going to be starting with an exercise. So very quickly, I'd like you to write the things you see yourself becoming or doing in the next 10 years, 1, 5 years, 2, 20 years. So what are we writing down again? You write down what you see yourself becoming in the next 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years. So you can pause this video and write that down. Please pause this video and write that down, and then you can play when you've done that. So I want to believe you've done that. So the question I'd like to ask you is, what did you write? The things you wrote, were they attributes or acquisitions? What is an attribute and what is an acquisition? An attribute is a personal characteristics and a personal quality, something you want to become as a person so that you can achieve a certain result. For example, I can write that I want to become the best wife of my husband. That is an attribute. That is a quality I need to possess. There are things I need to become. There are things I need to begin to do in order to be called and in order to actually become the best wife of my husband. So what that means is that if I am able to love my husband, submit to him, and do all that I need to do to be the best wife to him, he's going to be happier. Yes, I know I'm not completely responsible for his happiness, but I have a role to play in that. He will have peace of mind. He will have a good state of mind. You'll be mentally healthy and emotionally healthy, and that will help him and give him the drive to be able to serve the community better. When he goes to work, when he goes to his business, he will be in a better state of mind to do what he needs to do. He would enjoy clarity and he would relate with his other staff members appropriately. What if I had frustrated him from the house and he leaves home angry? The tendencies are that when he gets to work or his business, he would actually pour the aggression on his staff members. And that would actually impact his relationship with them, which would also impact their overall productivity and the overall output of the organization or the business. Can you see that even though it started from me, it did not end with me? Just one single decision, just one single attribute I decided to have will not just impact the people that are directly close to me, it would also affect those that are close to them as well. So the attribute you might decide to have might be to become the best player in your field, the best musician, the best actor, the best student. And when you decide to have these attributes, there are actionable things you need to do to become that. It doesn't end as a wish. There are things you need to put in place. For example, if the attribute you wrote down is to become the best student in your class, it means you have to study. You have to go the extra mile. You have to do extra things to ensure that what you've written down becomes a reality. So, on the other hand, if you wrote an acquisition falls in the category of I want to buy a car, I want to build a house, I want to get more properties, I want to buy a new wig, get a makeup set, get my nails done, buy more clothes, change my wardrobe. Those are acquisitions. So while it is okay to have acquisitions as a goal, the issue with that is that it does not necessarily have any it doesn't really have a huge impact on those around us, because most of our acquisitions are personalized. And even if any other person will benefit from it, it is usually our family members or those that are proximate to us. But whenever your goal is an attribute, it never ends with you. It may start with you, but it never ends with you. An attribute might be to become the best Nigerian. And when you begin to do the right things as a Nigerian, there are other people that are watching you that your life would influence. Therefore, leadership is not by title. You are a leader of one or a leader of more. When you're a leader of one, that means you're leading yourself effectively and appropriately. You take decisions and you take the responsibility to ensure that those decisions come to fruition, they come to pass. So do not say you're leading no one. There is someone watching you, there is someone that is taking a cue from your life, and there is someone that is patterning their lives according to the way you are living your life, whether you know it or not. Consciously or subconsciously, there are people that are following and taking a lead from you. So you are either a leader of yourself or a leader of more. So no matter what you decide to do, you are influencing someone. That is the first thing we need to establish today. So the question goes again, did you write attributes or acquisitions? Because leaders are problem solvers. So if you would really be a leader, your goals must not just be limited to acquiring more things. Your goals must be attributes. I mean, your goal, it is just a must. It is a must. You need to become a better version of yourself for the people around you, because eventually it has a ripple effect on the entire environment and even beyond it. Now, let me talk about two concepts that prevent people from maximizing their leadership capacity. The first one is the IDCA, the IDCA complex. And what is the IDCA complex? The IDCA complex is the I don't care attitude. And very quickly, we are going to have another exercise to test our to test us whether we have the IDCA complex. So very quickly, please let's get our notebooks again and our pen and create a two-section table. So on the first section, please write, how many times have I attempted to solve a problem that cannot directly affect me if I do nothing? I'll read that again. On the first section, please write, how many times have I attempted to solve a problem that cannot directly affect me if I do nothing? On the second section, write, how many times have I genuinely helped or solved a problem for people who may not be able to reward me? Let me go again. How many times have I genuinely helped or solved a problem for people who may not be able to reward me? So, I'll need you to answer this question. You can pause this video again and play it again once you're done. All right, I want to believe that you fill that in. Now, what you filled in would actually tell if you actually have an I don't care complex or not. If you find out that most of the things you do were only because a reward was attached to it, it's a sign that you have the other complex that I'll be talking about much later. And if you find out that you do not take any action towards things that do not directly influence, impact, or affect you, it is a sign that you have the I don't care complex. And some of it are justifiably so. Maybe in the past you've actually attempted to intervene in people's matters and it backfired, and the thing, everybody started to blame you, or it did not work out fine, and then you made up your mind not to care about anything. It is understandable, but you cannot continue like that, because whether we like it or not, whatever goes around eventually comes around. And very quickly, I'll be sharing a story of Mr. and Mrs. Okafor. Mr. and Mrs. Okafor are neighbors of, okay, they have a neighbor. So Mr. Okafor came back from work and found out that Toma, his neighbor's son, steals. So instead of approaching Toma's parents to talk to them or find a way to help the boy, he did not tell them. So when his wife came back home, he told his wife and they talked about it, they gossiped about it, and they were happy that their own children are not thieves. They are happy that their own children are actually the best in school and well behaved and all. And truth be told, they raised their own kids well. So, but 25 years down the line, their daughter grew up into a successful banker, and Toma grew up into a successful, notorious arm robber. And so she relocated to another state, and unfortunately, Toma happened to be in the same state. So she was a victim of one of his armed robbery attack, and they suffered a gunshot that almost took the life of one of their family member, that is their daughter. So what if Mr. and Mrs. Okafor had done something about Toma while he was a child? Yes, you might be saying there are some parents who do not want people to interfere in the way they raise their children. That is understandable. But they could have taken Toma as a personal project, especially since they've been able to raise their own kids well. And they may not even, they, they don't have to overly do it. They could just get him a book, just find ways to help him, because of an understanding there that if they do not help him, he will end up becoming a social misfit, a vice, which he eventually became. We need to understand that whatever we are not doing anything about have a very strong tendency of affecting us much later in the future. And that was exactly what happened to the Okafors. Let me share another story of a teacher who found out that some students in his class were involved in sexual abuse. Sexual activities, and they were young kids. But he refused to do nothing. He did nothing about it because the school had a policy that you should not beat people's kids and all. Some parents have really made it difficult for teachers to really help them. So he wanted to follow the status quo. So he left the kids to themselves. So those kids started influencing other kids who went further to influence other kids and went further to influence other kids. So the situation was like an Ebola virus. It was spreading geometrically. What if that teacher had found a way to do something about those first kids he started from? It would not have spread. Can we see the way the Idca Complex has made a lot of problems to compound? See, I need us to understand that some things are severe. And most of the reasons why people do not take action when they should is because they do not understand the severity of the situation. And that is what I want us to understand. I want us to understand how severe some situations are. And if we do not intervene, the impact in the future will be dangerous. It will grow from bad to worse. Therefore, every time you're able to identify something that is wrong, please do something about it. Do not say it does not concern you, because eventually, somehow, some way, it would concern you. The second thing I'm going to be talking about is the Takers Complex. And very quickly, we are going to be doing another exercise. Please remember, no one is doing this with you. Nobody is sinning. So please be sincere with yourself. The reason why we are doing this is to unveil our own self to our own self, so that we will know ourselves and understand what we need to work on. And please do not feel bad if you find out that you need to actually work on some of these things. It is okay. Nobody is perfect. The people we all look up to today were also once like this, but they did not stay like that. They made up their mind to be change makers. They identify habits, attitudes, and mentalities they needed to change, and they did. And that is why they've become great leaders who are celebrated globally. So we'll run another exercise to know how much of a takers complex we have or do not have. So very quickly, this exercise is about identifying people who have actually helped you or intervened in your matter at one point or the other. And I'll give an example. Okay, so let's say somebody who was there for you when you were sick, a friend who took care of you, somebody who gave you accommodation when you were stranded or helped you through school, paid your school fees, your pastor who has invested in you spiritually, your coaches, somebody who pointed you out to an opportunity that has given you the job you earn from now, just stuff like that, free trainings you've had that turned your lives around. So please identify those things. So create 4 columns. please create 4 columns. On the first columns, write all of these areas that people have helped you. Then in the second columns, write the names of those that have helped you in front of each of them. So let's say, for example, your first item is spiritually. You write spiritually, you write name of your pastor or those who have actually helped you, who have invested in you spiritually. The next one could be relationally. Maybe somebody connected you to the person you're now married to. You write down their names. So the list goes on like that. So in the third column, you are going to write what you have done to appreciate these people. So if for your pastor, you've helped them, you've gone to his house to do some things, you've run some errands for him on his birthday, you buy him presents, you can write that down. So whatever you've done for all of these people who have helped you at one point or the other, just keep remembering them. Write down the things you've also done in their lives, the things you've also contributed in their lives, the positive influence you've also made, the positive contributions you've also made in their lives. So for the fourth column, you're now going to write actions you need to take henceforth. So the purpose of the fourth column is if you've identified people you've not done anything for, they've been doing things for you, they've been investing into your life, but you've not really done any tangible thing for them. So the fourth column is now for you to write things you now need to do to appreciate them in your life. So kindly do that. You can pause the video and play back once you're done. All right, I want to believe you're done. So very, very quickly, I'd like to talk about the Idca Complex. Now, if you find out that you are always on the receiving end in any relationship, in any interaction, you have the Idca Complex. It may be a mild one, but you actually have. Now, the other side of the Idca Complex are people who are actually looking out for ways to take advantage of people. Those ones only look out for themselves. And before they do anything, they always try to see if there is anything for them. If there is nothing for them, they would not do it. That is a taker's complex. And people with this complex will never be able to maximize their leadership quality, because even when they have capacity to change a situation, to solve a problem, they would not. That taker's complex will prevent them from doing it. They'll tell themselves, there's nothing in it for me, so I'll just drop it, good riddance to bad rubbish, That is a very, very wrong mentality. So if you've identified yourself as one, it is time to change. Please do not feel bad. Remember that this session and this class is for us to understand ourselves better and to know the things we need to change, to know the things we need to improve on, so that we can become better leaders, value-adding individuals, and solution-providing individuals. It is very important that we have clarity as to what it is we want to do, what it is we want to become, and where we see ourselves going. A lot of people in their old age live very, very regretful lives, because at that time they don't go to work, they have really, really few activities to involve themselves in. So most of the time they are just seated watching TV and all. So most of the time the only thing they have left is the memories they had. The memories of the times when they were young. So for people who really live the life they want to live, they have good things to think about, they have good things to remember, and they just enjoy reflecting over the memories of their youthful years. But for people who did not live the life they want to live, it is usually full of regret. And it is my prayer that our own old age will be a very, very great one, because when we look back to the time we are in now, we'll be happy we took the right decisions. And that is why it is very important that you know where you're headed for in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 20 years' time, so that you will not just take anything. Because if you do not know where you're going, whatever comes your way, you take it in. Let me share the story of 2 friends who took off and went to the park. One is Sandy, one is Debbie. Sandy knew where he was going to before he took off from his house, but Debbie did not. So when Sandy got to the park, there was a car that was headed for his direction. So immediately waved Debbie goodbye, and he took the vehicle and left. Debbie was angry because he felt, oh, we are friends. Why couldn't he wait for me? But Sandy knew where he was headed for, and he would not waste his time, so he left. While he was still offended at Sandy, some other friends came. Those ones also knew where they were going to, but their vehicle was not yet, the passengers were not yet complete. So they were chatting and gisting with Debbie. So once the vehicle was full, they also left Debbie. So Debbie was left to himself. And this is actually the life situation of a lot of people. They do not know where they're going. And so when they see other people who know where they're going and are making something out of their lives, they become envious. They become full of criticism. They begin to look for ways to pull those people down. They begin to look for loopholes. They talk those other people down. If you've observed, successful people are too busy to criticize others because they understand what other people are doing, because they're also doing the same thing. Most of the time, it is people who have not really made much out of their lives that have a lot of time to criticize other people. So, if you do not want to live this kind of life, it is important that you gain clarity for the direction your life needs to go. Remember that when you're writing, you don't just mumble words together. You leave space for clarity. When you want to write I am June, you write letter I, you leave space, you write letter AM together, you leave space, then you write letter JOAN, and then you put your full stop. What if I wrote all of these things together and refused to add space to them? There will be no clarity, it will not be neat, nobody would understand it. In the same way, some of us might need to take a retreat from the activities of life and gain clarity for our lives. You may need to read certain books. I recommend The Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren and Messages by Dr. Miles Munroe. These two people would really help you gain an head start in gaining clarity for what you need to become. So maybe you would have to listen to them and revisit your art cover and then write down what you want to become in the next 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, and so on. I hope it has been value for your time. Our next class continues. You can follow me on social media. My social media handle is Joan Anoluwa, and the one for Lifesaver is Lifesaver_NG on Instagram and Twitter. Kindly ensure to follow us because there are lots of things you can learn on our social media platforms. So, see you again next time in class. Please, if you have questions, please feel free to ask. I would like to hear from you. I would love to have your feedback. Thank you very much.